The gargantuan icebergs of A Place Further Than the Universe and Yuru Camp have finally melted away, signaling an end to the harsh winter of Moe, and the spring of Shounen is finally on the horizon. What's good, what you should avoid, and most importantly, where does everything go in my tier list? All this and more in the pilot episode of the AniMETA. What exactly is the AniMETA? The name is actually a combination of two words: anime, wow what a surprise, who would have guessed that one, and meta, which is actually an acronym for most efficient tactic available. But most people who use meta don't actually use it as an acronym, and they actually use it as a word to refer to something that's really good, especially in competitive gaming. And that's where it comes from. That's the reason that I'm doing this series like this. I want a way to include my love for competitive gaming and my love for anime in one neat little video package that will hopefully grow to become a seasonal series. First, and arguably most importantly, are the stats. For each show that I talk about in this series, I'm going to be assigning 4 stat categories to them: animation, story, characters, and soundtrack. And each of these stats go from 0 to 10, with 0 obviously being the lowest and 10 being the highest. And then, depending on their total scores, which are out of 40, they will be arranged in a tier list ranging from meta to trash. And then your standard lettering system from A to E being used for the shows that come in between. Effectively, this is just my way of telling you guys what I watched last season and what I thought of them and what I'm looking forward to watching next season. But these are just my opinions. As much as I might like to think about it, my opinions are not the end-all be-all authority on everything anime. If I place a show in the trash tier because I think it's absolute garbage, you might not have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. Feel free to come away from an episode of the AniMETA watching the shows that I've put in the trash tier and then coming back to argue about them with me because you don't think they're trash. That's good. That's what I want. I want to promote discussion. You know, as they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I've babbled on way too much about tiers and stats and whatnot, so what do you say we get down to some ranking of shows? So, with Pop Team Epic, I don't think these scores are going to be surprising anybody, really. This show was really a hit or a miss. I could even say the show was controversial. This show on social media was the source of so much argument. I mean, okay, let's be real. What show isn't the source of a lot of argument when it comes to discussing it on social media? But Pop Team Epic especially, I saw people arguing about whether it should be considered a meme-filled shit show or whether it should be considered something greater, something that utilizes absurdist humor really well. The humor for me was okay. There were times when I was just like, okay, what the fuck is going on? I actually don't like what's going on screen right now. Or there are times when it would get a good giggle out of me. For example, when Popcorn and PP were gangsters and they were cracking down on YouTubers, I thought that was pretty funny. Animation, I gave it a modest score of 5 because I think it was used pretty creatively, especially in sections where there weren't any animation. If you've seen the show, then obviously you'll know I'm talking about the Hellshake Yano scene where it was just the guys flipping through the notepads with the drawings, and I thought that was pretty funny, and that deserved, you know, that deserved some recognition in the scoring. Soundtrack-wise, this score is definitely on the lower end of things. The actual, soundtrack things that played within the show weren't that amazing. The entire reason I'm giving it a score of 4 in the first place is purely because of the OP. I thought that was really catchy when I was first listening to it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a contender for OP of the season, because I thought it was really good and it captured the essence of the show. Now, the score and story might actually surprise some people. Pop Team Epic has no story. That's the long and short of it. It's incredibly episodic, and that's how it should be because of the source material. But why have I given it a 2, you might ask? Well, that's because somewhere in there, in each episode, there is a hint of a story. I'm not talking about the actual show, I'm talking about that stupid Hoshiro girl drop gag at the beginning and end of every single episode. That actually continued on and was diligent in its continuity throughout the entire series, and I just wanted to give that some respect, you know, credit where credit is due. And with a score of 14, Pop Team Epic gets inserted into the D tier. It was kind of disappointing. It started off really like, oh my god, I've never seen anything like this, especially because I hadn't read the manga beforehand, even though I was aware of it. But as time went on, its humor was kind of lost on me. Perhaps I didn't have enough IQ to understand the intricacies of some of the jokes, but it just didn't do enough for me, and it felt like that it kept relying on the same jokes over and over, on Pipimi and Popoco's randomness to carry it, which, as you can see by its score, it didn't.
そうか。内密かつ急ぎの報告があるのかもしれないな。すぐに向かうとしよう。
お帰りなさいませ。アインツ様。
Now, the second season of Overlord is something that I genuinely really did enjoy. I enjoyed season 1 so much so that I went to go and start reading the light novels, and as you can see by its decent to even high scores in some categories, I definitely enjoyed season 2. The animation, of course, has got to be recognized. It's Madhouse. Madhouse are known for being really good and really consistent with their animation, but it was a bit lacking in places. It didn't live up to the Madhouse name, which is why it wouldn't be higher. For example, One Punch Man, which was also done by Madhouse, would have gotten an animation score of like 8, 9, or possibly even 10. But Overlord pales in comparison to other Madhouse shows. The story was the area where it actually kind of fell short for me, because what I really enjoyed from the first season was Ainzul Gord waving his big stick around going, I am the greatest, nobody can stand up to my almighty magic strength and the power of the Tomb of Nazarick. But we didn't get much of that in the second season. Instead, we got some more intricate storylines about the people in the kingdom, about some of the side characters like Sebas and Brain Unglaus. And whilst that was okay, in fact, it was more than okay, it was actually quite good, it wasn't up to par with just, I guess, the progression of season 1. It was actually quite slow, which for me isn't what I like, especially when it's not done perfectly, so that's what's been reflected in its score. Characters and soundtrack are definitely some of the better qualities of Overlord Season 2. Carrying on from Season 1, of course, we've got the same great characters that we know and love, Ainz, Albedo, Shaltir, Sebas. They didn't really change that much, and that's a good thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But some of the newer characters that we got to know, Princess Rena, Klein, we got to know a bit more about Brain, that was actually really good, and I actually really enjoyed that they took time away from Ainz and his antics to develop these side characters that hopefully we see more of in later seasons. The OP and the ED are definitely what grant Overlord Season 2 its incredibly high score in soundtrack. OXT did an amazing job on the OP, and likewise Myth and Royd, as usual, did an insane job with the ending. If you haven't listened to the ending for Overlord, don't worry, it doesn't have any spoilers in the animation, go and listen to it. It is nothing short of a masterpiece, and that's why it's gotten this score. As for the in-show soundtrack, it's okay in places. Realistically, it is the OP and the ED that carried this score to what it is, and with that, Overlord gets a modest score of 26, putting it in the B tier, which I think is very accurate. It's not an A tier show. Overlord isn't an amazing, mind-blowing thing. It's definitely a twist on the isekai genre, as we've seen in Season 1, but it's nothing insane. But it definitely doesn't deserve to be in the C tier either, because it's got so many good qualities. Hence, B tier.
Oh, Mika, I should have kept a better eye on you. Oh, no. Hey, don't look at me like that, you Cluto fluff thing, you. Come on, don't cry. Don't know you're gonna make me cry. Oh my god, he's a bishy boy, he's so cute. Oh my god.
Oh, look at this guy. He's actually really kind of cute. Ow, that's hot. Friction. Now, Miura no Kaikata is an interesting one, because I didn't initially plan to watch this show. When I was scrolling down through AniChart, picking out shows that I want to watch for the season, I just skimmed past that, thought it would just be some Moe Blob trash that wouldn't interest me at all. Then I saw a clip posted by Crunchyroll, and it actually kind of warmed my heart because, oh my god, some of the characters in Mirai no Kaikata are the cutest things in the world. So let's talk about the characters for a bit, because this is a score that I think definitely deserves a bit of explanation. For Mirai no Kaikata, the characters can definitely be split into two distinct categories: the humans, Sora and his friends, and the monsters such as Isao, Mikun, Mukumuku, and Connie. And as you can see by the fact that I can name more of the monsters than I can the humans, I think it's pretty clear here who's carrying who. What I found out is that it was the antics of the monsters that actually kept me coming back to the show. As the series progressed throughout the season, it turned out that I actually didn't really give two fucks about what the humans got up to. What I just wanted was more cute moments of me, or Connie just kicking random things, or doing stupid stuff, or Mukumuku teleporting everywhere, or Isao being a smart-ass dragon. That's what I really cared about, and that's where the modest score comes from for Mirai no Kaikata. The humans actually kind of dragged them down. They were just there, I think. They were just facilitators. The monsters, obviously because they can't speak, the monsters can't really do much by themselves, so the humans need to be there just more so as a story mechanic, just to push the story forward. And if the story needs pushing forward, like actual pushing forward, then perhaps the story just wasn't good enough to begin with. Again, if this was just an episodic, Adventures of Mikun and his monster friends, I think it actually would have gotten higher scores, because I just didn't care about what the humans were getting up to realistically. At the beginning, I thought it was interesting, like, oh, is Sora's dad gonna send him something interesting every episode? Oh, no, he's not. Oh, okay, never mind, I don't really care about Sora, I just want to see more Mikun. The story and the characters are very, very delicately and very intricately intertwined, as you can clearly see by this amazing representation. So if the characters are kinda crappy and wishy-washy, the story is going to suffer as a result. And it's only because of the cuteness and how hilarious the monsters are that there isn't a terrible character score for this show. And soundtrack, I skipped the OP and the ED, which is a rarity for me. If you know me, you know I heavily look down on people who skip the OPs of shows, and there was nothing really, there was no actual stuff in the soundtrack of the show, no amazing themes that, I was listening out for, where I was like, oh my god, this theme is playing, something hype is gonna happen. Nothing like that. It just seems like soundtrack was an afterthought for this show. And with a total of 16 points, that firmly puts Mirai no Kaikata in the D tier. The only redeeming factor are the monsters. If you want just some light-hearted, cute fun to lift up your day, then go and watch this show, but don't expect amazing character development or anything insane like that. And now, this section won't always be here because it just depends on what shows I pick up during the season, but there are two exceptions for shows that I were watching this season, but I can't rank for the following reasons. Darling in the Franxx is a very obvious one. It's a split core show, which means it's not going to finish airing until this spring. So when this spring ends and I do another episode of the AniMETA, I will rank Darling in the Franxx there. And Emiya Sanchi no Kyo no Gohan is an interesting one, because I've never watched a show that has such an irregular release schedule. Sometimes you get an episode week after week, which is what I thought it would be like, and then sometimes you'll actually go almost a month without an episode, and then an episode will come out of nowhere. So I actually don't know when this show is going to finish airing, and subsequently when I'll be able to rank it, but whenever it does, I'll rank it as it should be. Now onto what I'm actually going to be watching next season. And the way I'm going to be doing this segment is that I'm going to pre-rank the shows. This is going to be pretty fun because it means that after the season is ended, I can compare and contrast my pre-rankings and my actual rankings, and there can be some discussion formulated that way. Now, I'm not always going to do it like how I'm going to be doing it in this episode, because I'm not always going to be picking up so many shows. This spring, I'm going to be watching 13 different shows. So to go over every single show and why I'm going to be watching it I think it will take too long, honestly, and quite frankly get kind of boring and repetitive. So right about now there should be a nice graphic on screen showing each show that I'm going to be watching this season and where I think it's going to be ranked. And so I'm just going to talk about a couple of outlines and a couple of interesting titles. Starting off with the meta category, I'm going to talk about both shows, and if you know me, if you follow me on Twitter, which you should be at OraMagi, then it shouldn't surprise you at all about what titles are actually in this category. We've got the 3rd season of Boku no Hero Academia and Persona 5 the animation. Persona 5 the animation, this shouldn't surprise anyone that I'm expecting it to be a meta show. I love Persona 5, I've put over 100 hours into my first playthrough of the game alone, and I'm still going to put more in a New Game Plus cycle, but I expect it to be really good because we actually have evidence of how good it can be. Take Persona 5 The Daybreakers, the OVA that aired in September 2016. This was actually really well done. I didn't realize how well done it was until I went back into the game and played through the mission that it animates. That side mission that it does, it pretty much does it exactly. It didn't take anything out and it didn't add anything unnecessary. It adapted that one side mission into a 20-minute special really well. So with that, I'm hoping, keyword hoping, that in 25 episodes they can do justice the main story. I'm not expecting them to go in depth with all of their confidence and all the side stories in Mementos and things like that, but hey, if we're lucky, maybe we'll get those as OVAs and stuff in the future that we can really enjoy. The other title in the meta category should not surprise anyone in the slightest. MHA Season 3, this, you should know that I mean, look at me, look at how I'm wearing Plus Ultra. It should not surprise you, I am a fan of this series, and honestly, I think they can do no wrong. This is Season 3, it's the same people who have been working on it since Season 1 and 2, and they haven't done anything wrong. We've still got Yuki Hayashi on the soundtrack, it's still Bones doing the animation. Unless, for some reason, there is some hostile takeover at Bones and everyone gets fired, then there is literally no reason that MHA Season 3 should be anything less than meta. Now, the placement of Tokyo Ghoul Re, or Tokyo Ghoul Season 3, or whatever you want to call it, might actually surprise some people. I personally love Tokyo Ghoul, I adore the manga, and Sui Ishida is definitely one of my favourite mangaka, but sadly, Tokyo Ghoul just does not have the best track record when it comes to animation, which is a real shame because the manga is actually really damn good. Read it if you haven't. The anime has constantly been let down by, honestly, what just seems like lazy animation. I think everybody who's watched Season 2, Tokyo Ghoul Route A, will remember the last few episodes of Toka running and the budget draining keyboard and bullshit like that. And it's because of things like that, which I'm scared might happen in Tokyo Ghoul Re, that I'm not expecting it to be really good. For example, I'm expecting its animation score to be quite mediocre, I'm expecting its soundtrack to be quite mediocre, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, if they can surprise me, then great, I'll happily put Tokyo Ghoul Re in A, or perhaps maybe even S tier, but I think sadly, just because of Tokyo Ghoul's track record with anime adaptations and how bad they've been, I think it's just going to be average and beta. And in C tier, there's pretty much just a bunch of shows that are airing this season that I haven't read the source material for, that I'm expecting to be interesting at least. These are the shows that, if they're really crappy, you'll see them in the D or perhaps even the trash tier, but if they're good, maybe you'll see them in A tier. Again, I'm hoping to be surprised. I'm hoping that by the end of this season, I can put more titles in the upper echelons of the ranking system, that I can maybe smack a title like Uma Musume into the meta tier. Perhaps it's going to be amazing. Perhaps it's going to be the best depiction of centaurs I've ever seen in animated history. A man can dream. And that's pretty much going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the pilot episode of the AniMETA. I really want this series to grow into something big, something that I can be doing every single season, and you guys can follow along and we can have discussion about it on social media, and it can just be fun for everybody. That's what I really want. All of the graphics have been displayed in the video. I will be making them available on Twitter, so for example, if you like the look of the graphs or whatever, or if you want to keep up to date with my pre-ranking tier list, all of that will be on my Twitter at OraMagi. There's a link in the description to that below, so you can peruse those at your leisure. Like as I said, I want this series to become something big. I want it to grow and evolve, and so to that end, I am most definitely open to criticism. For example, if you think that maybe there should be a new category aside from just animation, story, soundtrack, and characters, maybe there should be, I don't know, a meme category or something like that. I mean, God, if there was a meme category, a show like Pop Team Epic would probably be S tier. But again, if you think of something like that, be sure to hit me up on social media or in the comments below. Let me know, because I'm definitely open to make changes to make this series the best it can be. And that's just about gonna do it for me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like so I know you did. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. Share the video around. All those actions help me out more than you could ever imagine. Wherever you are, I hope you enjoy your day or night. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.